Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Claire. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite plants, borage. We're in public today as well, so we may get interrupted during this video, but we're going to just keep it popping and keep rolling and kind of see what comes up. In this video, I'm not going to focus too much on the physiological elements of this plant, because there are a few things that it does very well, and we will talk about those, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about my personal relationship to the plant, just because how can you see the bee? How my relationship to it has developed over time, I think will be very helpful in terms of how you might choose to incorporate it into your own practice. So yeah, let's just get into it a little bit. I'm going to try and give you guys a visual. I don't know how well this is going to work, but really super fascinating visual, isn't it? In the I wrote it down because I knew I'd forget it. In the Doctrine of Signatures, which is just an old school sort of oh my god, do you guys see the bumblebee? That's so special. Oh my god, that is such a special moment. Wow. Thank you for blessing us, Mr. Bumblebee. Very cool. I was saying the Doctrine of Signatures, so let's just talk about that. In the Doctrine of Signatures, plants have structures and symbols that they give us to indicate what they're used for. Any plant that has a blue flower is specifically indicated for the nervous system. And this plant is absolutely one of the more superpower type herbs that we have in our dispensary. There's a lot of plants that do things that pharmaceuticals can do, and they usually do it better and in a more subtle way, which is my bias, obviously, but there is nothing that I've come across as a pharmaceutical that does what borage does. So it is, let's talk about the stuff. It's a demulcent. It's an adrenal gland restorative. This is huge. It's an antidepressant, it's a galactagogue, and it's an anti-anemic plant. So we'll go through each of these and talk about what those mean. But for me personally, this plant, I absolutely contribute my success to getting through herb school, which was one of the most intense initiatory processes of my life. I was taking 6 classes and 2 clinics per semester, and was just if it wasn't for this plant, I would have burnt out way worse than I did, and every student does after they are in school, because it's just the system is fucked anyways. But yeah, I remember really distinctly there was this one semester where I was doing that course load plus working 2 jobs, and I was romantically involved with somebody, and it was this plant got me through it. I can also identify that specific semester is the point at which I identified my intense dislike of capitalism, which is also a big aside. But yeah, there we go. This plant is really interesting because some of the more physiological aspects of it really supports this relationship to remembrance, a little bit like rosemary, but in an opposite way. To me, to carry on with your life and just stay present in the moment, there is an element of forgetfulness that needs to be integrated. So to be fully present, you can't be remembering everything in the past. You have to just have faith that those things are going to be carried with you. And borage is one of these things that I think of for that. Borago or officinalis is the Latin binomial. It's very, very frequently referred to as borage for courage. And it is. I mean, it's courage of the heart, and staying in your heart and listening to your heart a lot of the times is what needs to happen. Borago is thought to be a corruption of corago, which is, cor is Latin for heart. So borage for courage, reconnection to the heart. There's also thoughts that it could be bora or bourra of the French, both meaning fuzzy, furry, bristly. Can kind of see that in this plant. Hey, there's a lot of, God, it's just one of these plants that I'm just you're so fucking alien. Where did you come from? And it's really easy to propagate as well. It'll grow and kind of take over. I'll give you guys a little bit of a visual at the end of this video, a little bit more of this plant that I'm sitting next to, but it's very easy to grow. So I like to work with it in a tea. It makes a really, really tasty tea. I personally associate it with the Magician Tarot card. So this is having the ability to manifest what you would like to create in your life. It's really about being in the driver's seat of your own life. I also think of this as that forgetfulness piece coming in to really support your connection to why you're creating something. And this is very important because the next 6 months, for like the rest of 2020, we have this really, really long and drawn out and kind of very unusual transit where Mars is retrograding through Aries. Now, Mars is entering the shadow period of that transit at the end of this week, so that's, I think, July 25th, depending on your time zone. But this transit will often bring like a real sense of heaviness, a real sense of like, I don't really have that much energy. I don't have a ton of resources to just be doing whatever I feel like. So concentrating on one thing at a time is really, really helpful. But in the event that we go too far in one direction and our adrenals get really exhausted, borage is such an amazing plant for helping to restore a sense of like energy. It just gives you your energy back. It's amazing. Got some people over here. Let me see, what else can I say? We're also in the heat of summer right now. So borage is a really nice demulcent plant. And what that really means is it has something in it, which is, wow, it contains something called mucilages. So mucilage is just kind of like when you infuse it into water, it's kind of like goopy, like snot-like texture, which is kind of gross. But if you've ever worked with slippery elm, it's like that kind of a consistency where it's very like gooey and kind of, you can put it on your skin and it just has this nice softening effect. It takes away inflammation. It helps with healing. So I really like this plant for us right now because there's a lot of heat. We're outside right now. It's smoking hot. I'm like, you're probably gonna be seeing sweat all over my face because like, that's what's up. I'm Italian. And this plant is just so helpful for like when you're feeling burnt out. Heat is really, really an important thing to keep our digestive system going. It's a really important thing to keep our circulation going. But again, an overabundance of one thing can be very toxic. So a demulcent plant like borage, where it's very cooling, very heavy, very moist, can come in and bring a little bit of healing into that situation. Can bring things down and just kind of like put a nice weighted blanket on it. Yeah. Let's see, there's a couple of people who are very specifically well suited to borage. And one of these people is a tired mom, a tired postpartum mom. So borage also does this thing where it stimulates the flow of breast milk. The specific indication is galactagogue. So I think I've talked about this suffix, this Latin suffix of gog, meaning to stimulate the flow of, and galact as in lactation. So it stimulates the flow of breast milk. So it's really great for tired moms who are breastfeeding because it's also got that action of restoring the adrenal glands. It's also a thymoleptic. So for anyone who suffers with postpartum depression, this is going to be like the perfect plant. Like this plant has pretty much everything that you could want for a very tired, burnt out mama who just needs a little bit of an extra support because she's got so much on her plate and just needs someone to take care of her. Great plant for caretakers. It's also, there are studies that indicate that it is an anti-anemic plant, so it just helps with the integration of iron. There isn't actually iron in this plant, I want to make that clear. You do still have to be taking iron supplements, having iron-rich foods in your diet, but this plant in conjunction with that will help your body to integrate it into your body and sort of like beef up your blood. What else can I say about this? Yeah, I think that's actually it. Oh yeah, safety. Brief note about safety. There's some studies out there which make it contraindicated in epilepsy. These studies were specifically about taking the oil of borage seed. So that is, borage seed oil is really, really great for skin conditions. It's a lot like evening primrose oil in that regard. So really good for like short-term duration. But you shouldn't take it internally. It's like, it kind of blows my mind. Like, this is one of these really bad researches, like in herbal culture, where it's like, this essential oil gave you liver damage. It's like any essential oil that you take internally is going to give you liver damage. Like, it's just too intense for the body to handle, you know what I mean? So Yeah, it's contraindicated in epilepsy because there was a study, or there was an instance where someone was taking the pressed seed oil internally and they experienced experienced negative side effects as a result of that. So if you do know that you have a history of epilepsy, err on the side of caution maybe, and just, you know, forgo. But look at how pretty this plant is. If that isn't your situation, I mean, feel free. It's a great plant. You can use the flowers in salads. It's delicious. The aerial parts are what's used. So I'm gonna take this home. I'm gonna muddle it, which just means I'm gonna remove the flowers, chop this up into tiny little bits, and then I'm gonna make a tea out of it. And it's gonna be super delicious, and it's gonna help me get through the rest of my day. So that is my sort of all over the place talk about borage. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I really hope that you go out and happen upon it. And now that you know what it looks like, you'll be able to identify it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.